are you to defy me?
I've heard enough of his orders. We need to take control of this ship. Combaticons, combine into Bruticus!
All right, and welcome back to the Megatron draws. And today, I didn't really have anything planned. It's been really busy lately, but I decided, you know what, I got a new fella in the mail yesterday or the day before. Got Swindle in the mail. I was just like, you know what, might as well do a Swindle drawing. Let's draw a Swindle from Transformers, and this is obviously the G1 Swindle. So, because there have been multiple versions of the character over the years. Most notably would be like Transformers Animated, where he had his own episode where he was teaming up with some of the human villains and stuff like that in that episode. So, which was a pretty fun episode. Like, he's a very, very fun sort of funny character, and it's a cool idea, you know, because he's basically kind of always been kind of portrayed as the Decepticon arms dealer. So he's very like kind of a smooth talking sort of kind of a Lando Calrissian type, you know, almost. A little bit. But yeah, so today I didn't really have anything planned, so we're just gonna do a full pencil and maybe ink stream today. We'll see. Just gotta pull my just gonna be using my figure as reference. It's got all the details I'll ever need for it, and I'm not posing the head the right way. I'm trying to figure out which. I think we'll just do kind of like a half of the body, so we'll kind of just start from where my pencil starts and go up, like kind of like from the around the hips area, maybe where we kind of ended off here. So just kind of figuring out where I want everything to go, how big I want the chest to be, and all that stuff. So, okay, it's going to be. So I think I'm going to figure out the chest first. It's kind of the best way to kind of do Transformers is figure out where you want the chest to go. And then kind of just like work from there. You know, kind of just like start with a box. Where his windshield kind of starts. Okay. And then I need to bring that up just a little bit. It should be a bit smaller. Yeah, something like that. That way we can see more of the cannon. So you want to start with a basic sort of box, and then you can kind of adjust because it's a bit more going on in the back. So, but we'll don't have to worry too much about that stuff when it comes to drawing Transformers. A, because it's going to be covered up anyways by some arms and stuff like that. But yeah, so kind of go like there, and that's where the arms are going to begin. Because we want to have them kind of arm on hip, kind of take. No, it's going to be hit the waist first before we do that. So. That's a good idea. Right there. So then we have a little bit of a waist here. Not too much. Just enough. And for me, I was just kind of building out the body. It's gonna be the waist. Should probably be a little bit smaller. You kind of want to figure out where the crotch piece is. Just a little bit of bump out at the bottom there. So just kind of go like that. And then legs pop out. All right. And then we kind of just like leave the legs for now. So right now we just want to get the basics of the torso going. And the pose and all that. Figured out. Just kind of do a very basic sort of head shape. It's been more of a squared off, boxy sort of head. So we're gonna go like that. Have his eyes staring down at us. Bring that down just a bit more. Should do that. Yeah, I think his backside's a bit too thick. And his arm kind of goes like that. Shoulder's looking a little wonky, but we'll fix that up later. Important thing is get kind of the basic sort of a gist of where you want the shoulder to go. Kind of work that out as we go. Just want to kind of get the shapes figured out, got all the proportions kind of figured out and all that. His hand, kind of like right about there. And then we'll do these. And we'll do a little bit of the cannon. It's kind of mounted on the little tire on the other side of the arm there. Just a basic shape right there. Fix up the start on some of the shapes on the head here. Basic shape for the head going. Probably go back in and tighten it up. We'll just put the relative shapes kind of pattern down. Now for the hand, I kind of just something similar to what I'm doing with this one, where it's kind of like you have one finger kind of poking out just a little bit. But I think we'll leave like little details like that for later. We just need to get the overall build of our body here kind of going. Make sure we have all our ducks in a row. It's hard about foreshortening with the fingers. So I'm just going to leave the hands for now. But the idea I'm kind of going for is like kind of having him like kind of pointing at the viewer. Kind of like, I got a deal for you, boy. You know, that sort of thing. Not so sure if you would say boy, but just kind of erase some messier lines, just kind of clean them up just a bit. Yeah. Come in with a red, so yeah, resharpen my pencil. Oh shit, it broke. All right. Dork. All right. Yeah, usually try to sharpen my pencil, my Staedtlers inside a bag or off to the side because it's messy. Just going to erase the hand. Not going to bother with the hand just yet. Want to get because that part takes the longest, and I want to make sure I get the bulk of the body kind of figured out first. So we'll start by doing the chest. And the reason why I'm using a red is because it'll help me define my lines a bit more. So I'll go to a ruler real quick. That way I know. That way it's kind of. That way I kind of keep symmetrical with the way I'm doing things. So. Keep it all symmetrical. And we'll just. So when it comes to drawing transformers, it's kind of just a matter of just like drawing ton of different boxes. Like if you know how to draw a box, you can draw a transformer. That's kind of how it works. There's a curve at the end of the windows here. I'm not too worried about being exact right now. This is just a matter of getting the details squared up. I think it's kind of like little indents right here. Just little subtle details. And there's a little bit of a curve to the lines on the edges here. So we kind of want to have a almost like that sort of a shape going down. Oop. And then this is where the Decepticon logo would go, right there. Right on his belly. It's kind of an interesting sort of looking shoulder here. Okay. Hey, Alexa Jeff, how's it going, man? What I'm doing today, I am drawing Swindle from Transformers. I'm working on this guy right here. He's actually a new character that kind of showed up in my mailbox, or not my mailbox, but my front door a couple days ago. So usually I have something planned to color on Saturdays, but I didn't really have much time to work on anything this week. So I was like, let's do a full-on pencil and ink stream, because it might be for an interesting stream, because like not many people, a lot of people do struggle, a lot of artists do kind of struggle with drawing Transformers and robots in general. So I'm just kind of doing this whole sort of, doing kind of a drawing from the ground up, basically, approach for this stream. Where I show kind of the build process, kind of my thought process when it comes to designing the character. And, right now we're just doing the little cannon mount on his arm. Yeah, I think I have it backwards on the toy. Hold on. because the fin was pointed the other way. So I gotta make sure I get that detail when I get around to it. But I'm not gonna worry too much about the cannon just yet. I'm just kind of leaving it as a basic shape right now. So I just need to grab him. You see torso. So a little bit of an abdomen kind of section. Then we need to do the waist. It's a very, very small section here. And then we can do just kind of jut out just a little bit. Great thing about having toys for drawing is because you can actually see the character from all different angles you want. So it's a very, very useful thing to kind of have as an artist. Especially if you're a full-blown like comic artist, right? If you're like working for Marvel or DC, it really helps to have a specific costume of a character on hand. That way you kind of know how he goes together in every single direction. So yeah. Right now we're just in the waist, so it's kind of way too hard for me to draw. I draw organic well, but yeah. I mean, yeah, it can get tedious. It's mostly just, but for me, I just kind of break it down. One thing that kind of helped me is starting off with drawing a human form, and at least for drawing Transformers, because there's different types of like robots out there. But if you're doing drawing like Transformers or Gundams specifically, the way I draw them is I basically start out. I didn't do it for this one in particular because I'm kind of a bit more. I'm kind of gotten used to drawing Transformers over the years. But what I used to do was I used to draw just like a normal human form, and then I'd build the blocky elements on top of them, because Transformers, they basically have the same sort of proportions as a human, aside from the head, because the head is obviously a lot smaller on the robot body, because the reason why that is because it gives him a bit more of a broader sort of chest, a broader appearance. So proportions are a little bit different, but kind of the same at the same time. You know what I mean? Like there's kind of I kind of build the robot. I used to kind of like build the robot starting with a humanoid sort of a idea in mind, but then obviously as I went, I would add the blocky elements to kind of make it a robot, you know. And obviously one big difference when it comes to human anatomy versus Transformer anatomy is that the Transformer's legs are obviously a lot more bigger than the thighs. So the thigh, and that's kind of done to kind of make the Transformer look bigger. So like you're looking up at it, makes it look more like you're actually looking up at him, you know, like because they're supposed to be these giant sort of beings, so they're supposed to kind of evoke that a bit more, and kind of have a bit more of a angled here on the crotch plate. But that's kind of the thought process I kind of utilize. But it can be tricky for some artists who aren't really as familiar with drawing Transformers. But that kind of helps me. Comes down to it. And if you know how to draw, and also just like kind of break it down to basic shapes, like drawing like, you know, basic like cubes and stuff like that. Like if you know how to draw cubes and stuff like that, you can. It becomes very, very easy to kind of figure out. Let's kind of indicate that. Lights. Just trying to move your hand. And just trying to get a little subtle details. Now I'm kind of right now. I'm kind of leaving the hands for later, just because it's more important to get the base for specifically when drawing Transformers. It's very, very important to get all the very important like details figured out first and foremost before you go ahead and draw the hands in, because it'll just get more and more complicated for you. You just want to like make things a little bit easier for yourself. Comes to drawing. And you kind of have a little bit of a joint would go there, so the whole leg should kind of taper off there. And draw robots often. Yeah, I might show. I'll show you what I mean a bit more. Like what I mean by starting with a human form is like, because you know how you start off with a stick figure form, like when it comes to drawing. Like this is what most people kind of teach when it comes to anatomy and stuff like that. This is going to be a very rudimentary drawing, but start off with a human form, and then so you have your torso, your arms, your waist would be right about here. And you have little circles. These will indicate where the legs start. And then kneecap. Now, for a kneecap on a human being, it would be kind of more in the middle, right? But for Transformers, it'd be a little bit higher up, just like a little bit more because they're robots. And then human, and then they kind of have more of a human proportion for the arms. But you kind of start off with the human build, but then you kind of go in and kind of add the blocky elements. So like we're drawing like, I don't know, make that prime. And just draw the squares to make the arms. It is a very, very rudimentary drawing here. It's very, very cheap and lazy, but that's kind of how I started off. So like that's why I kind of did a lot. Was like I started out with a human form. I started off building the figure like what a human form, and then kind of build the robot parts on top of that. So like you have the arm, the hands in there, and so you kind of now it's a very, very rudimentary here, but that's kind of like the basic sort of premise I kind of did. I figure these are legs. Okay. This leg's kind of tilted the other way, so I'm going to do that. Come in with a different color pencil. Let's see. Okay. It's the leg. Kind of looking up at him, so. For I can't see the lines very. Yeah. Sorry, it's kind of hard to see because it's pencil lines. Like, let me see if I can adjust lighting. But if you know how to build a human form, like that's kind of the best way to start off with the basic skeleton of the drawing, and then add the blocky elements to it on top of it. Like that's kind of how I sort of figured it out. That's kind of the trick I kind of use right now. I'm just kind of figure out. So I'm gonna start with the ball, the little ball, because that's kind of like what you see in the joints. No, okay. I figure where the face of the leg is first and foremost, and then. But I want to kind of maybe go backwards just a bit. I'm going to use a blue pencil. And this is just my rough pencils here, so I can go ahead. So when I get around to like the final inks and all that, I can always touch up things that aren't quite right. Hey, Pacific. How's it going, man? Good to see you. I don't need that one. I'm gets trickier when we get to the hand, so I might just do a very simple hand. So just do a very simple hand here. I'm not gonna worry too much about it. I did all right. Just do my thing today. Didn't really get to stream it. Didn't do a draw stream last weekend actually because I was doing a game stream on my Twitch. But yeah, it feels good to be back though. I'm not really liking this hand. Sorry. And you kind of see more. Let's see. No. Just bring it down just a bit. Just been chilling today. Actually, I saw the new Transformers movie actually for the first time a couple weeks ago. I thought it was okay, but at the same time, I didn't think it was as great as everyone was making it out to be. But it's mostly because of my own sensibilities with the franchise, which I could talk about for a bit. Just want to get the figure here drawn. It's kind of hard to talk about something while your mind is kind of more focused on the drawing at hand. So we have the leg kind of teetering off there. I think this one's good the way it is. Yeah, it's fine. But yeah, there's just some things I didn't personally like about the new movie. But okay. Once I get the legs figured out, I think I'll go a bit more into it. But okay. I think that's good enough. But everyone has a different view on the film, which makes for a good conversation. Yeah. So for me personally, my issue with the film was kind of it was issues I already had going into the film, so it wasn't like where I was just like completely disappointed by. It was just something like it was more of like a confirmation type of thing when I went into the film. So I already had some issues with it. I didn't like. Just in general, the concept of Optimus Prime, Megatron having this buddy friendship before they become enemies just didn't really sit right with me. Now there have been iterations where they were friends at one point, even a little bit in the original G1 cartoon, but not so much. It was kind of a very, very brief friendship, like very, very brief, in the original cartoon. If you remember how that went. But but in the versions that did have them as friends, it made more sense to me, and it didn't take away from those characters' archetypes the way I feel like they kind of did with this, because they tried to make Megatron a bit more of a sympathetic villain, or a tragic villain or whatever, or kind of like a fallen hero almost, like with kind of like almost like an Anakin type thing. That's not really who Megatron was. He was an elemental villain. So, but almost the Joker in a sense, where it's just like you're not supposed to really like root for him. You're not supposed to have like it's just not really one of those characters that's supposed to be relatable in that way, Now, for what they were going for, they did a good job with it. I'll say that they did a good job telling the story. The story, it's nothing to do with the story, not even so much with the actual story of the film that I have an issue with. It's a well-told story for what they were going for. It's just what they were going for wasn't my taste. It's like And there's good moments, obviously. I think there's some good moments in it. I think there's some good ideas, some interesting concepts, but I just think that main sort of idea of the story just didn't really sit right with me personally. I think the aligned continuity kind of did the story a bit more, where, well, in terms of it being the idea of them being friends, I think they did a little bit better there because it was more of an ideology type thing, and it was more, and you saw more of Megatron's manipulative side in that show, in that version in the novels, a bit more. Because that's kind of, it's also a big part of his character, is being a very, very manipulative, cunning asshole, basically. Like, and just trying to get the right shape to his helmet here. But I think overall they did a good job with doing the 13 prime stuff. That stuff was kind of interesting. Although they did kind of get some of the stories wrong with the 13 primes. They got Megatronus wrong, because he wasn't just a prime; he was a fallen prime. He was the prime that kind of betrayed everybody. And that was kind of an element of the story that they kind of left out. And same thing with like Liege Maximo, who was also, I think they kind of came out and said that he was also one of the 13 primes that was in the movie. And for those who don't know, Liege Maximo was actually the original, like from the, I believe it's Marvel. I think it was either Marvel Comics or it was the G2 Comics, where he got his first debut. And he was kind of, and actually in the original comics back in the day, he was the actual inspiration for the Decepticons, like way back in the day, before the Dreamwave War Within comics kind of introduced the Fallen, Megatronus, and then that's where the idea for him to be the inspiration of the Transformers came from, or the Decepticon cause. And which company made that Swindle? Oh, this is from Magic Square. They're brand new. They're not brand new, but they're a third-party company that is doing upscales, because they do legend scale Transformers, which are like about 4 inches tall, like about that big. But recently they've been taking their Combaticon set and they've been upscaling them for a masterpiece scale, and kind of not focusing there. So I'm just using him for my reference here. Yeah. So that's one thing that kind of got wrong in the movie, is they didn't really go into, like, it wasn't fully accurate to his character as much as it could have been. But I think that for the most, but other than that, they did a good job of explaining some of the backstory of the Transformers in that way. But at the same time, I kind of felt like the backstory was kind of like, it's weird, because it kind of feels, in a way, it kind of feels small, the world that they've kind of created in this movie. And what I mean by that is that they've only shown like one city, one location in Cybertron. They didn't go in and explore, because there's not just like Iacon in Cybertron or Kaon. There's other places like Tiger Pax, like Polyhex. And because we only see or hear of Iacon and the surface world of Cybertron, which is, I guess, it's kind of like, I guess in this version they kind of made it to where it's kind of like a Hollow Earth type thing, where it's like there's a surface and then there's like and then below the surface is where the whole society kind of exists and all that. This take on Cybertron, which isn't a deal breaker necessarily, but it's just like, it kind of feels weird that all the Autobots are all in the same sort of location, you know, like all the Autobots that we kind of see in future that we all kind of know are all just miners. It's like, well, why couldn't they have like different occupations at least? You know, it's like, I mean, there's some like who are the racers, and I'm sure they did have some other occupations, but it's just like, it kind of made it feel small made the world feel small when you have everybody in the same area, you know. But I mean, it's still kind of cool for me personally as a G1 fan. It was kind of cool, like, you know, being able to kind of pinpoint like different characters in the background and all that. You're like, oh, there's Ironhide, there's a Jazz, there's a Sideswipe, and RC, and all these other characters. They got little cameos here and there, but I kind of felt like they could have done better with some of the backstories for some of them. Like, but who knows? Maybe if they do a sequel, which I'm not pretty sure they will, because there's some kind of a hoopla with Hasbro right now, where they might not be making any more movies because I think they just pulled the funding on the film side of things. So, which I mean, I'm not too sure what the logistics of that is or what that entails necessarily, but some are saying they're kind of pulling the plug on Transformers movies, or they're just kind of going to be outsourcing it or something. I don't know. I don't know how all that kind of works, but that's what I'm the good guy. So they fantasize that they're as a result for their situation. So the sympathetic villain seems inspiring to them. Yeah, exactly. It's just weird. Like, it is kind of a weird phenomenon we're seeing. You know, it's like because we had the Joker movies, we've had the Cruella movie, the Maleficent movie. You know, it's just like the Venom movies. Like, we have so many villain-centered movies now, and I don't know. It seems weird that everyone's so like easily latching onto. You know, you have the Loki series. You know, it's a really strange sort of idea to turn these villains into. You can have sympathetic villains. You can have villains who have sympathetic backstories and all that, but you shouldn't be inspired by villains. Like, that's not the purpose of a villain. They're supposed to be what not to do when trouble hits. Like, that's why I think Batman has some of the best villains ever. You know, because Batman as a character, like his villains, they represent what Batman could have been if he had allowed himself to kind of fall down and into despair and all that, and just like lose himself. You know, like, you know, all the villains kind of represent a different aspect of Batman's character. You know, like, for example, Scarecrow kind of represents fear, like, because they both utilize fear, but in different ways. Batman uses fear to scare criminals, whereas, you know, Scarecrow uses it to torture people, and manipulate people and all that. So that's kind of just one example of how the villains are good, are you know, kind of a dark reflection of Batman, and that's, you're not supposed to, but it's like you're not supposed to be inspired by a Scarecrow. You're not supposed to be inspired by even characters like Mr. Freeze. You know, even though he's a very sympathetic villain, you're not supposed to agree with him whenever he goes and commits a crime, even though might be to him, it might be a noble cause because he's always trying to save Nora, his wife, who's like always kind of frozen in most stories. Yeah, that was one of the things I did as well. It was nice to see familiar characters look very close. Yeah, exactly. That was probably the best part for me, honestly. It's just like looking in the background and seeing, oh, there's Sideswipe, there's Sunstreaker there. I think I even saw like Ricochet, which was like a repaint of like Jazz. Like, that character was in there. There's obviously a bunch of like name drops in the race scene. Like, you had like Slingshot, Motor Master got a name drop, Hot Rod, Chromia. Although one character that should have been in that movie, in that race, was fucking Blur. Like, that should have been Blur's moment to shine for once. Like, that's always a character I've always wanted to see in a film, honestly, Blur. Like, because he has a cool ability, because he's like the Transformer that can run fast and all that. You know? And he's like Sonic the Hedgehog. He's like the Flash of the Transformers. And it's like, that'd be a really cool character that kind of have in a movie. But they could have really had him in that scene where he kind of comes in and steals the thunder from everybody. But whatever. Then again, that'd probably be cheating because he was faster than everybody. But yeah, there's a bunch of name drops like Slingshot. I think Firefly and Dead End got a name drop in that. Cliff Jumper was in that race, I think. But I didn't really get to see them close up. Just kind of like in the backgrounds, or I think Silverball might have been in there as well. Which if he was, he better have been like a car vehicle, because that's a big part of his story, was that he was actually a because in the original lore for Silverbolt and the aerial bots, they were actually, or at least for Silverbolt, he was actually a carrier, or he was kind of like he was a land vehicle. He wasn't like a jet at first. That's why in the aerial bot episode, you kind of see him. Hey, Deadman. That's why in the aerial bots first debut episode, you kind of see, when he first, gets reactivated by the Autobots, he's actually kind of very scared to fly because he's never flown before. He's always been a driving character. He's always turned to I think it's like a truck or something like that. But Silverbolt had a really cool backstory in the cartoon, where it's like he was, still scared about flying. Then Prime kind of came in and told him, like, you know what, I want you to be the leader of the Aerobots, because that will give you something more important to kind of focus on, instead of just your fears and all that. It's a really cool story. So I think that if they, obviously Jetfire was, or not Jetfire, Silverbolt was name dropped in there. If he wasn't a car or something like that, then they kind of messed up there. That's my whole thing there. Notice in the background that one of the miners was Hopper. I'm sure if I pause the movie in certain places, I'd probably see more and more characters in the backgrounds there. Now I'm just rambling because I can do that with Transformers. That's why I need to do this new show I'm kind of coming out with. I'm hoping to get off the ground pretty soon. Probably either, I think maybe March, I think is where I'll start, because I'm thinking about starting my own like Transformers talk show on the channel, like maybe like a monthly stream. I have to kind of wait a little bit because work gets really busy in January and February, so I want to kind of make sure that I have all my ducks in a row figured out and all that before I commit to it. I'm just trying to get my Canon off. So it kind of goes like that. Then I just do that sort of shape there. Just go like that. Where am I? Yeah. Because like with Transformers, there's so many characters and so many things to kind of go on a tangent about. That's why I need my own show talking about Transformers, because that way I get all my thoughts out there. It's also hard to do that because you're in between drawing as well. It's like drawing, and I got to talk, and then I got to. That's why I think it's gonna be better just to have a whole show, which it'll just be kind of me just talking about Transformers, like mostly like collecting stuff, because I'm a really big Transformers collector. If you've seen my collection videos, it's kind of been a very big thing here where I live. So at least for me, anyways. And so at the end of the year in December, we'll be doing a full like collection tour live stream, where I'll kind of just, because the collection has gone through a very big overhaul in the past couple of months lately, got a whole new setup going because it started off with just like 3 bookshelves, but now we have 7 bookshelves full of Transformers, or waiting to be filled with Transformers. So yeah, it's pretty nuts now. And actually, last night I started doing more work on. I got some, or not. I got a little bit of a head start on doing some like diorama work, or getting the basic template set up for the future dioramas that are going to be going in those spots. Which I kind of showed up on Twitter yesterday. Which hopefully those dioramas we'll be starting them up pretty soon, actually. So you get a few more things. Need to grab some stuff from Home Depot. But yeah, the first one we'll be doing though is going to be the Drift and Windblade diorama, because I have that one almost ready to go. I have the cherry blossom trees, which I have because I'm going to be doing it's going to be kind of a diorama based in Tokyo, or Japan rather. It's going to have all these like cherry blossom around. It's going to have a big mountain setting. It's going to be a more prettier diorama than my usual ones. So, which I know Mrs. is going to be really excited for, because she loves her cherry blossoms. So, but yeah, so it'll be kind of fun for me too, because I really like doing like new environments for my diorama streams. Which, if you go on my channel, you'll actually be able to see more of my Transformers collection, like kind of the dioramas and all that. Well, I don't have Studio Series 86 Prime because I have the Masterpiece, so no, I don't really see the point of getting it. I'm just collecting Masterpiece for the most part. But from what I have seen, it looks like a really good figure. But I have so many primes now, I'm not even considering getting any more primes at the moment, unless it's like a Nemesis Prime or a Shattered Glass Prime. But right now I'm more focused on getting Protectobots. I actually just placed an order today, actually, on eBay for a first aid from Mastermind Creations, their first aid. And just want to get him before he goes up in price, because with Mastermind Creations, they don't do a whole lot of reissues, so you want to kind of snatch them up as soon as you can. So, yeah. Yeah, so for my primes, I have 2 MP44s, or one's a KO because it had a fixed backpack, but I have MP10. I have a deluxe from the Generations toy line, which was the War for Cybertron Prime. Then I have a Transformers Prime on this Prime. Then I have like a scaled down Prime. That's kind of like a scaled down version of the MP10. And then I have a upscaled MP10 upstairs. So it's a big Optimus Prime upstairs. So I've already got my fill of primes at the moment. My goal with my collection right now, because the way my collection works, I have one main display for all like season 1, 2, and then I'm working on 3 and 4, and then I have like one offshoot like shelf right behind me where I have my prime shelf. So that's kind of like how my collection is kind of working at the moment, which I'll kind of show off a bit more once I get to the December stream. Because in that stream, I'll be going over kind of the evolution of the collection, where it kind of started, and where it's going. So that'll be a lot of fun, I think. Yeah, my goal as a collector, and this is also one thing I kind of want to talk about when I get to the collection streams. is just kind of going into some of the just kind of the ins and outs of collecting, outs of collecting. Not just like talking about what characters I'm buying next, but some of the logistic angles of collecting. Like talking about because sometimes there's different like strategies of buying things. Sometimes there's we all because we all have, as a collector as collectors we all have very different sort of objectives when it comes to collecting. Are we collecting a whole series? Are we collecting a whole cast of characters? Are we collecting, or we're just collecting, casually, just like buying characters that we just the characters we like, or we're just buying everything, a certain, because there's always going to be different avenues for everybody, when it comes to collecting. So I think it might make for an interesting sort of a stream, kind of talk about. Let's add a little bit extra detail to Swindle here. Pencils, pens, and paper. Yeah. Yeah, you're responsible, unlike me. It's like, I want toys. Love toys. At least I make sure my rent's paid before I buy toys. I'll just put it that way. Yeah. Don't be an idiot and buy a bunch of stuff. Yeah. You got bills to pay. Through the sand. I'm digging the face. I'm not sure, like the personality. It's kind of shining through. And Decepticon logo go right here. Fix that layer. Okay, so it's going to be pointing at us. So we'll do just a box. That's the pointer finger. Then we got the 3 fingers here. Kind of just like curling up. And then thumb go about here. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Fingers suck. Whether it's robot or human, fingers suck. They draw them. Like that. It's not facing us enough. Whole point of the finger is supposed to face us. I'm not good at doing foreshortening for fingers. Or you can do that kind of pose. It's like, I got a good deal for you over here. Because Swindle, he was the arms dealer of the Decepticons. So yeah, it's a pain in the butt. I'm trying to get a specific look. Here's the arm. I'm gonna draw the hand and then I'm gonna draw the arm around it. That might be a better option. It's kind of confusing me. Okay. 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 Now I can build the arm up. I think I'll just stick with the basic shit. Spend too much time on a hand, especially during this phase, because this is just the rough pencils I usually do. Usually do my rough pencils, and then I come back in later when I transfer to a new sheet of paper to do the hands, because it's more important just to get the full body and all that, kind of have all the major details figured out before doing the stuff that's kind of a pain in the ass. So the other hand figured out. The other hand's not too hard to figure out. It's very, very simple gesture for the most part. Don't worry about it too much. That should be good enough for now. Get the grill going. There's a waist here. There's junk. Okay. details there, and then the legs we can do simply. Okay, you can probably start doing some inks here for the most part. Grab you. No 3. Just start by doing a basic outline of everything. Minus the smaller detail areas, just getting the basic sort of a silhouette figured out. Them in there. And the window or the windscreen. Then for this, I'll just do a basic. I'm not going to worry too much about the hands looking pretty. Right here, we just need the information of the hand more so. Just need to know where the fingers are actually going. That way I can do the underside without a problem. It's going to look a little bit ugly at the moment, but that's okay. So I kind of have a process. This is the initial pencil roughs at the moment. So I don't have to worry too much about being pretty, because we're going to be making it a little bit better once we get to the actual final version. So I'm not going to be wasting time trying to perfect everything just yet. I just want to get the information down, figure out where everything's going, figure out the pose and all that. And then we can make it nice and pretty in the final stage. What I'll do is I'll take this and place it onto a light box, and then I will usually just like trace it onto a new sheet of paper for coloring. And from there, I can just like change up any mistakes, change up the lines on certain things, or fix a certain pose or what have you. This makes my life a lot easier. And make the leg look a bit bigger, going downwards by starting small and then working way up, making it bigger. As we kind of talked about earlier. Transform proportions. Let's put that there. Oh well. So a bit of detail on the legs. Just put that. Keep the legs simple. Hey, Grumpy, how's it going, man? I didn't come back around to see. I'd never have known you were on. No, I'm here today doing some Swindle. Because I just got this guy in the mail the other day, so I figured, you know what? Didn't have anything else planned today, so let's just do Swindle. Let's do Swindle. So everyone loves the Decepticon arms dealer. He was kind of a. It's kind of how his. Of all the characters, he's actually kind of one that's not changed a whole lot. Actually, I think everyone kind of likes the idea of him being like an arms dealer. So they haven't really changed much about him over the years. Other characters obviously have had a bit more unique changes over the years, depending on the writers. Yeah, I'll leave the hand for now. How you doing, Grumpy, though? It's good to see you. It's good to be back. It's been a little while. Some circle templates. And 3, 2, 5. Do a little bit of the grill. We'll do the lights. Which do that. Up there. Yeah, good enough. Always fix that later. And we'll do the face, and then we'll do the gun. Swindle. Swindle. Yeah. He's not really a bad guy, you know. He's always he's a relatively friendly guy. You get to know him, you know. He just does bad things for bad people. He's a fun, very, very fun character, especially in anime. They did a really good job with animated Swindle. He's a lot of fun in that show. So he has like a little interdimensional thing in his chest where he can like, just like pull out weapons out of his ass, basically. Because like all his like weapons are like he's like in a pocket dimension or something like that. I can't remember how it works, but with him in that show, but it was kind of fun. Fun idea. I'll use a smaller pen. You know what? Might as well grab the gun here. But yeah, we've just been drawing this from the ground up today. And, hey, missus, how's it going? Yeah, he's an honest broker, just trying to make a living in this chaotic world. That's the character I would have liked to have seen in the Transformers 1 movie, a Swindle. A lot of fun. Which, yes, I did go to see it, Grumpy, and I was kind of not underwhelmed because it was still a well-told story. It just wasn't really my story, if that makes any sense. Or the way I prefer that story to be told. But for what I was going through for, it was effective at it. It did a good job of. It was a good story of showing how a friendship kind of falls apart. That kind of a deal was kind of what they were going for. In terms of like getting the themes down, getting the all the good emotional beats they were all there. It wasn't it wasn't like a horrible film or anything like that. It just wasn't for me personally. It's like everything else Transformers like, yeah. Along for a ride, I have made some strides in setting up the campaign for. Oh wow, that's cool, dude. Yeah. When it's ready, let me know and I'll promote it on my channel here at some point. Do a symbol. It's a little bit wonky, but that's okay. We'll tidy them up later. And the gun's a little off. Yeah, I mean, well, they didn't see. I will say it's a good movie if you're just getting into Transformers. Because it'll do a good job of explaining some of the more recent ideas of Transformers, like the 13 primes and all that. No, with Primus, like all that stuff's pretty much on point. Aside from, like as I said earlier, the way they handled both Megatron's and I guess Legion Maximus, or lack thereof of Legion Maximus, because he's a very, very prominent character in like IDW and all that, as well as in like the old like G2 comics. They didn't really do much with him in the movie. Like he's kind of just like there in the backgrounds. Um, but in terms of like getting the basics of that this new era of lore for Transformers, they did a good job. Um, I just didn't really care for the Prime and Megatron story. I think that they should have been like I think that the way they could have done it is because one thing I didn't like about what they kind of left out about Megatron's character was the gladiator aspect, because that's not a part of the film at all. Is him being a gladiator and all that. That's what kind of helped, which is what he used to kind of build up his army, because he fought in these gladiator pits, and that's what kind of drew a big crowd to him, a big audience, and a big following that eventually became the Decepticons, like, which was what they did in IDW, as well as in the aligned continuity. So, and they also had different places where the Decepticons came from, because because in the movie, all the Autobots and all the Decepticons, they're all in the same kind of place, really. Like, the Autobots are all like all the classic Autobots you see in the film are all miners. Like, they're all the same sort of occupation and all that. Then when you go to when you travel to the surface world of Cybertron, because basically the way they kind of reshaped Cybertron in the film is that Cybertron is actually kind of like a Hollow Earth type planet, where it's like you have the surface, which is kind of a bit more organic, which is where all the 13 primes used to live, and then you have the Hollow Earth, basically, where the whole Cybertron cities and all that kind of reside. That's kind of how they kind of built up Cybertron in this film. And so yeah, and basically it's kind of forbidden for most Cybertronians to kind of go to the surface world. Like, it's kind of meant for only Sentinel Prime, because obviously it's a big part of the story. I'm not going to spoil it too much if people haven't seen the movie yet, but I mean, it was kind of cool to see the Quintessons actually, giving them a big role in the story now. Also, kind of be portrayed as a really big threat as well in this movie. Even though I didn't really care for the designs, because I would have preferred more of a G1 design for the Quintessons, but for what they were being portrayed as, I think they did a good job. As being a big threat for even the Primes themselves. Like, the original 13 Primes had a problem with them in the war, so it was kind of a cool idea. But I just didn't really like that all the Autobots, all the Decepticons had kind of the same sort of backstory. Like, all the Decepticons were part of the High Guard, sort of like old sort of war unit or it's kind of like these like soldiers that kind of served the Primes at one point. And that's kind of what the Decepticons, like Soundwave, Starscream, Shockwave, that's where they all kind of came from, essentially, in this film. So when you do meet them in the film, they're all kind of in the same place. They all are kind of have the same sort of background. It's just it made the world feel smaller. Like, I kind of like the IDW where you had, because in the IDW books, they showed, or in the Megatron origin book, they actually show like different stages of when he met certain characters, like Soundwave, like Starscream, like Rumble and Frenzy, and all that. Like, they actually showed how he met them all and where they came from and all that. Like, it made the world feel a lot larger than it actually was. That's kind of the main problem I have with this film, is that Cybertron feels so small in this film. Like, because you only see Iacon, you only see the surface, and you only see that one like pocket where the Decepticons are hiding. That's all you ever see of Cybertron. Like, you don't see any other cities, or even mention of other cities in Cybertron. I'm sure there are other cities within Cybertron that they'd probably explore in a sequel, but they didn't really show or say anything about them. And so it kind of, and because they already are portraying a bunch of characters already in this same place of Iacon, it kind of makes the world feel a lot smaller. And it probably should be, because this is Cybertron. This is supposed to be Golden Age Cybertron, so you should have a big world of just like endless possibilities, which they kind of have, but at the same time they don't show, or they don't make it feel like that it's a larger world. That makes sense, That's kind of one of my main problems as well with the film. About the reward and reward there sections so far, it'll be 3 short books, the main story, supplemental, and the coloring active. Oh, cool. That'd be awesome, dude. Sounds awesome. Really looking forward to seeing that. And you kind of put the tires. Do that. But yeah, that was like my main problem with the film, is it kind of felt like the world of Cybertron kind of felt smaller than it should be. Because like when it comes to Cybertron and most of the lore, it wasn't just like you know, they weren't just miners, they weren't just workers, they weren't just like soldiers. Like there was scientists. There was like different types of scientists too. Like characters like Beachcomber, who was like a biologist and stuff like that, or a geologist who studied different life forms and different planets and stuff like that. Like you have so many different like, you know, aspects of the Transformers like history and their lore that it's like they don't really show a whole lot of in this film. So there's little things like that that kind of weren't necessarily the best for me personally. Like, or rather, there's just more things that I just would have liked to have seen more of, you know. Yeah. So when you have all the characters kind of in the same place, doing the same sort of occupation, like all the like basically all the Autobots are all miners in this film. Essentially, they're all miners along with Orion Pax, which isn't a deal breaker necessarily, but it is kind of a why is, you know, because like you have Ironhide, Ratchet, Prowl, Jazz, they're all like within the mining guild and mining sort of a occupation. It's like, well, why couldn't you have like Prowl, like for example, be like a law enforcement guy, you know, in the film or something like that, or with the Cybertron equivalent to a police officer, you know, like it was in the cartoon. But you know, there's like little things like that. Just like, you know, I felt like it could have done a bit more to kind of polish things up, but it looks like the thing you want, but isn't quite right. Yeah, that's kind of like my whole thing with it. I mean, I will say it's better than the Michael Bay films for sure. Definitely much better than all the Michael Bay films. So I felt like it had a lot more heart, a lot more soul in the story. It told a good story. It wasn't a horribly told story. It was actually a really well told story, but just wasn't really my favorite origin for Prime and Megatron personally. Like my favorite version of the story is kind of like, if I was to write the Transformers origin story, like Optimus Prime and Megatron, it would be kind of a mix between G1, Prime, and the IDW, but it's just a little bit of IDW with like Megatron's part mostly. But yeah. And like I said, I didn't really like that they got rid of Megatron's like gladiator aspect. Now, I think it would have been more interesting if like maybe Megatron in the story, like maybe I think the way I would have done differently actually is have Megatron and Prime. Like, if you want to have if you still want to have the like sort of like really close niche like friendship in the story, that could be fine. Like, that's fine. But I think that what they could have done differently is they could have. I think what they should have done is actually have him like maybe separate from Prime for a bit, like maybe in their. Like maybe he gets like sent off to like the Energon mines on the moon bases where he's forced to work, and then that's what leads him to kind of leaving the moons, go back to Cybertron. That's where he lands on Kaon, becomes a gladiator. And then when he comes back to it, and then when he and Prime reunite, like Prime is like, oh, he's like thinking, oh, he's just my best friend all over again. But you know, but then you realize in the story that a lot's changed with him. Like he's not the same guy you knew. You know, he's you know, hey Joe Mama, how's it going, man? Let's go. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, we're almost there for the most part. obviously this is the rough pencils for Swindle here, but I think that would have been better stories. Like maybe there's like some separation period within the film. I think that would make more sense to me personally. But I don't know. But and it's not really clear whether or not we're going to be getting a second film because there's a lot of stuff going on with Hasbro right now. Because I think they might be pulling the funding on Transformers movies from going forward. Actually, I think I heard that's a rumor. Something that's going on right now. No, they're not rogue AI at all. They're sentient beings. They all have personalities. They all have emotions and all that. They're not AI whatsoever in the film. What they are in this film, though, is they are all well. Basically, what the way the story kind of went was that Sentinel Prime betrayed the other 13 primes. Like he was kind of like just like a bookkeeper type of character for them. Like he wasn't really all that significant until he decided, he didn't want it. Until he decided he wanted the fear the AI. Yeah. But no, so Sentinel Prime, he wanted the Matrix for himself, and so he decided he wanted to kill the other 13 primes and rule Cybertron by himself and all that, because he's a power hungry guy. And hold on, let me just grab my ink real quick. Find it. Oh, wrong one. Oh. But so Sentinel Prime, he basically killed the other 13 primes, betrayed them and all that, and then hold on. Where's my paper towels? And then what he ended up doing, though, was he actually stole the transformation cogs from certain transformers, and so that's where the whole kind of conflict kind of comes from in the film. So like only certain transformers were able to transform in the film. So like all the miners, all them couldn't transform, like Prime, Megatron. Like, all those guys couldn't transform until eventually by the end of the film that they kind of restore everyone's T-Cog. That's kind of the basic premise of the film. This is kind of a little trick, actually. I take some ink, put it on some towel, and I just kind of dab it into the background to kind of give it a nice little smoky sort of a effect here. But no, Transformers they're not AI. They have thoughts and feelings. They can think for themselves. They can do all that. But yeah, it's not like Terminator where they're all just like emotionless beings whatsoever. Yeah, so Sentinel Prime, he's actually kind of yeah, I want you to think, yeah. Yeah, so Sentinel Prime in the film, he's kind of a mix between IDW and the animated Sentinel Prime. A little bit of kind of both of those. That's kind of like the way he's being portrayed in this film. Now, a little bit of the movie Sentinel Prime, not really. Um, so don't get me started on AI art, Alaska. I'm in the mood for a rant. I'll do some gray tones. I'll pull up my old. Faber-Castells instead. Don't feel like fishing that out. So I had another Pentel brush laying around somewhere, but I don't think I find it. Yeah, and then I'll just do a gray tone right here real quick, just to kind of make it look a bit more polished off. Do a little bit of reflection here in the window. For the AI. Yeah. Later, Jeff. Have a good one, man. Yeah, I'll keep the cool grays as the this one. Kind of separate which colors. Yeah, I probably should have done the warm gray, but whatever. Too late. Not a big deal though. Obviously, this is just the roughs, so don't worry about being too pretty here. Okay. Yeah, I should use this warm gray for the beige on old Swindle here. We're using on purple. Almost like just design, but that's okay. Doing a stylish sort of Swindle today. And just gray tones, so who cares? Okay. Okay. I'll leave the eyes alone. And I'll just go in and do the dark stuff, so to speak. Yeah, I was coming in with the gray, cool gray ahead, just to tighten it up. Make them look pretty. Actually, I think that the guy who played Knockout in Transformers Anime would have been, or Transformers Prime, would have made a really good like new or modern. If they were to get, I can't remember if the original voice actor for Swindle is gone or not, but if they need to get someone else, yeah, I think the guy who played I can't remember his name. It's the same guy who did the voice for J. Jonah Jameson in Spectacular Spider-Man, actually. But yeah, the guy who played Knockout in Transformers Prime, I think he would have done a really good job for like a Swindle one day. Play him. I think that Steve Bloom, I think, is the one who voiced him in the video game Fall of Cybertron. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, just a little thought I just had. It's time to come together. I might touch up the helmet just a little bit in the final version. It's looking a little wonky on the edges there, but oops, I'll tidy up just a little bit here. Do what I can. And let's do a little extra details on Swindle here. Just make it a bit more interesting. Oh, you know what? These are supposed to be all black, or to be around it anyways. There we go. Yeah, also I didn't really like Alita 1 in the film. She's kind of bitchy. She's too bitchy for me. It's like, you know, I mean, it's cool that she was part of the original story, like part of the backstory with Optimus and them. Like, I think that she should be there. I just didn't like her there when she was there, though. She's too bitchy. Yeah. Too angry. It's like, it's not my Alita 1. Like, Alita 1 was a lot more kinder, a lot more, you know, a lot more nicer character in the original cartoon. Yeah, I kind of fucked with this tire, this wheel. Good basic. Design there. Let's do some red eyes, even though he has purple eyes, but whatever. There we go. But yeah, pretty much done now. I think we're pretty much done with the drift here, or swindle here. And it's 4:50, not too bad of a time frame. So, need to sign it. So yeah, there's Swindle. I think we're pretty much done here. Shows you a little blue. Like it. Good time. I sometimes like to add a little bit of color to the drawing at the end. There you go. And you can barely see it because of the camera, but there's my pencil and ink for Swindle here, though. Now, it's still very, very rough right now. I need to fix up the head a little bit more, proportions, the fingers. But yeah, it's going to be added to the list of many other pieces I need to finish up. But I had nothing else to do today for the stream, so I decided to just go, yeah, let's just draw a toy. One of my new toys that came in the mail. So easier for me to do because it's a physical representation of the character, so I can see all angles and all that. So it's a very, very quick and simple one for me to do here. But yeah, so I think that's going to do it for me today. Not much to add, really. Oh, I think it's show some of the artwork I did. There you go, as well. But I did this Maggie and Bart piece a couple days ago, just because I was bored one day. Just because I drew the original sketch on when did I do it? It was on one of my work trips a couple days ago, and I just colored it up off air. So there's a little Bart and Maggie for you, because I actually kind of like Maggie a lot more than Lisa, because it's like throughout the whole. I think that she has a more healthy relationship with Bart than Lisa or any other character for that matter in the Simpsons family than any other character. So because you had that one episode, which is this piece was based on. It's kind of a weird sort of tangent here. We're talking about Simpsons, Transformers to Simpsons, so fuck it, we'll do it. But yeah, I always didn't really like Lisa in the Simpsons cartoon. I always because Bart always has like a really kind of strained relationship with the rest of his family. You have him. He's always at odds with Homer. He's always butting heads with Lisa. He's always disappointing Marge. But when the episode came when he actually. But they never really did a whole lot with Bart and Maggie in the show. But they did that one episode where they finally had them kind of doing their own thing together, and they actually got along really well in that episode. Actually, they just going around playing pranks on people in the town, and it was a lot of fun. It was really cute, and always kind of felt like they had more. And so I thought they had a much more, loving bond in the show than any other character. So just did this one piece. So just a little show off here. But yeah, there's our guy Swindle. Pretty cool, stunning. Yeah. I feel that drawing out of Bart and Maggie, yeah. Yeah, I never liked Lisa. Yeah, she's just so annoying. And she's actually, I'd say she's more morally jaded and more. I never liked Lisa. I always thought she was the darker of the kids, honestly. Because if you remember that episode where Mort or whatever like almost dies or what have you. Like Bart's the one that actually tries to like because it was basically their fault that he almost died, and so or supposedly died, and but it's Bart who wants to turn himself in and say like, look, this is us. But then it's like Lisa who's trying to cover it up. Like he's like, no, bitch, we're gonna get arrested. It's just like what the. So yeah. Yeah, yeah, exactly. She's just an asshole. Like, it's like, yeah. I go on a whole rant on Lisa and how much I hate that character so much. And I think the best episode she's in is when she's actually like working alongside Bart and working off of other characters, but not when she's. But even then, like she's very, very vindictive and very self-centered and very, you know. Like because something one episode where Maggie they might have where she tries to sabotage Maggie at one point because it was kind of revealed that she might be potentially smarter than Lisa in the future. You know, like she might have a higher IQ than her, and so it's like, yeah, exactly. She's like, yeah, she's exactly a feminist trope. And that's why I'm always going to be Team Bart whenever they butt heads. You know, it's like. The difference between Bart and Lisa is that Bart, even though he's a troublemaker, he knows when he's crossed a line. Lisa doesn't. Like, well, yeah, it's like because that's the thing. But yeah, you know, it's like Bart. He knows when he makes a mistake. He knows when he's wrong. You know, like he always tries to make up for it when he is wrong in the wrong. You know, but Lisa doesn't. Like she just tries to manipulate others and all that at the time. You know. And she's very petty and vindictive. Like in the episode where like she freaking gets Bart restraining order placed on Bart. Like it's like the only reason she did that is because Bart pulled a few pranks on her. Like that's all it was. Like it was just like harmless pranks they pulled on her, and she got a restraining order placed on them. You know, it's like and she didn't like bring it, and it's not like she like actually like missed Bart. It wasn't because she actually missed Bart that made her drop it. It was just because she thought that he was doing something nice for her for once. You know, it's like, and by the way, he's done a lot of nice things for her over the course of the show. By the way, before that, but yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. But yeah, I never liked Lisa. I always thought even old Lisa was kind of annoying as well, but at least then she had a bit more morals. But now she's just kind of a vindictive asshole in most shows. Yeah, that's why I'm Team Bart. I'm Team Bart, not Lisa. This guy is dying on me. He's the last one too. Your balls. Might need a new set of these guys. Anyways, that was a weird tangent. I just went from talking about Transformers to talking about Simpsons. So, but yeah, it's just kind of something that's on my mind because I've actually been rewatching a lot of Simpsons cartoons. So. But yeah, there's Swindle, and this is the new guy I got in the mail. Which, if you want to see him with the brawl, here, we'll end the stream off of the duo because we. Hold on, I gotta stop the camera first. For a second. Get a better view. Drop something. At least in the first 10 seasons was still human and left leaning. Now she's left or left of left. She's further left than AOC. Yeah. All right. See how that works. All right, good. There's the Swindle. Give him his gun back. There. And then our boy Brawl. So Hold on. Better angle. There they are. There's the bros. So got 2 of the Magic Square Combaticons all ready to go now. So just gotta wait for the other 3 to come in. Watch all the Simpsons episodes, yeah. Yeah, they're a lot of fun. I love the Simpsons. I used to watch it all the time when I was younger. So yeah, I'm really liking the way they're shaping out though, the Combaticons here. I think the next one they're going to be doing is Onslaught, but there hasn't been any pre-orders up yet for him. But this guy went up for pre-order in, I think, October, or yeah, in October he went up for pre-orders, which is I think a month after Brawl came out, and he just came out this month. So I think next month they might announce an Onslaught. I think that's what might happen. Because they're pumping out these guys really fast. Like this guy came out wicked fast, you know. Same thing with Brawl. So I think that they're going to be. I think this is actually a really cool way to do trend. It's a really cool idea they're kind of going with, where they're upscaling their legend scaled to masterpiece scaled. It seems like a really cool, good business move, honestly, because it's like, you know, because they already have the molds for these characters, so all they have to do is upscale them, give them better articulation and joints and all that. But very partial to Motor Master, yeah. You want to see Motor Master? All right, hold on. I'll give you some Motor Master love. We got time. Big guy though, so if I can get him on camera with the rest of the guys. There he is. Come on, big boy. I think Dead End's coming next year. So, yeah, there we go. There's Brawl, Swindle, and Motormaster. Not their team leader, but yeah, they're all Decepticons, so I think it works. One that got short changed, yeah. Yeah, I do like this whole idea that they're doing, though, where they're taking their legend scale and upscaling them for masterpiece. And it seems like a really good way to kind of do business, because it's like now, because you already have the basic like structural molds. All you have to do is go in, add the ratchets, the Uni-ball, like make them all masterpiece sort of quality, sort of joints and hardware and all that, and paint jobs as well. It's like, it seems like a really efficient way to do. I think I've heard a rumor they're going to be upscaling their Dinobots next. I heard that might be something they might be doing at some point. I'm not too sure on that though. I just heard a rumor about it, but that would be cool too. Because I think that people are kind of they were kind of due for a new set of Dinobots for some people, because not everyone went on the Fans Toys or the Gigapower. So yeah, which I'm just hoping that they don't do a Constructicon set upscaled. It's like, I'm so sick of seeing Constructicons on Shozy Store. I want to see some Protectobots. I want to see Technobots. I want to see Terracons. I want to see Predacons. That's what I want to see on these. That's what I want to start pre-ordering. Like, look, I already got. It's like we already have Stegons. We already have Combaticons. Well, we're getting a new set of Combaticons right now, and we already have Aerialbots. Let's get new characters going. That's what I want to see more of. But yeah, Dinobots will need. Yeah, Dinobots will definitely need a lot of, because they're bigger bots, so they're definitely going to need, you know, a lot of stronger hardware for them. Which I'm kind of kicking myself. I really wish, like, more, because I got the Fans Toys before the Gigapower set got finished off. But yeah, I think I would have loved to see I would have gone with the Gigapower Dinobots as opposed to Fans Toys, because I just love the way they were painted a bit more. So, and there's a better lighting on it. Swindle was getting dark there for a second. But yeah, I need Technobots. Yeah, exactly. We need Technobots. We need Terracons. We need Predacons and all that. And all those characters first before we start swapping That's my sort of a mentality. Yeah, they kind of were. Yeah, they kind of were the original Rescue Heroes. And speaking of dioramas and collecting, actually, I just got some more foam board yesterday, and I cut that all to scale, and I have 4 shelves pretty much at least mapped out. I got the base and the side and the back walls all placed in for those. So I have 4 of the Autobots ones done. So I just need 2 more for Autobots, and then 5 for Decepticons on that side, because I just got the. So I think it was the 16 by 20. I had 16 by 20 foam boards from Michaels, and I just kind of cut that down to size. So actually, I was actually able to get this is another Transformers rant or tangent, but I was actually able to use, just because it comes in a pack of 3. Like you get a pack of 3 of the foam boards, and so I bought 4 of those, and I was able to make get 1 shelf out of one of those packets or packages, because the shelf, the depth of it is 10 inches deep, and so I cut it in half, and I was able to get 2 of the side walls from that, and then the other 2 foam board sheets I was able to get the back and side and the base layer for. So yeah, so for that, I was just kind of doing a lot of test fitting to make sure the foam boards were fitting properly in the shelf. And I think the plan's going to kind of work out for me. So I think next month I'll probably get more foam boards, get the other. And then this is for the skinny billies. This is for the skinny billies I'm doing. So and I'm just going on a tangent. So I think we're about to end the stream, but yeah, I'll go more into the future of the collection next month, because on the last stream I probably post this on YouTube at some point, but I'll be doing a big collection overview stream, kind of going over the history of my collection, kind of where it started, my sensibilities, how it's kind of changed and evolved over the years, because it was very, very different when I first started out collecting. It was very, very different sort of a mindset before I finally stumbled upon the diorama stuff and all that. So yeah. But yes, that should be it for me. I'm not too sure I'll be doing next weekend. I'll look into my portfolio and see if I have anything old that needs to be redone. But yeah, on that note, I think I'll see you guys later. So before we end, we gotta make sure we thank everyone for coming. So thank you to Grumpy, thank you to Alaska Jeff, Joe Mama, Dadman, Mrs. Dadman, Pacific 414, and it should be everybody. Yeah, I think so. Make sure I got everybody. Yeah, let's say everybody. So on that note, I think I'll see you guys around later. And it's like crap now because it also has old art on it. But okay, yeah, no problem, Grumpy. Yeah. So whenever you have a campaign link, just send it to my Twitter, and I'll repost it into my streams here whenever I can, whenever I'm streaming. I'll make sure to send people there. But yeah, on that note, I think I'll just call it a wrap right here, guys. And we'll end this on a... we did a Combaticon today. We'll on some Combaticon clips, so... yeah, so thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next week. Actually, I might be popping on if Maria has another stream on her channel. I might pop on there because I kind of want to do the background for the Bart and Maggie piece, so I kind of want to do that. But yeah, and I will see you guys around. Yeah, and get my icons pull up.
Retreat!
Combaticons! I told you to abort! The mission is lost!
his orders. We need to take control of this ship. Combaticons, combine into Bruticus!